What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Great Men Podcast with Shane Sams. I'm your host, Shane Sams, and I've got a longtime friend, a truly great man with me today. He's someone I've known for years. We have podcasted together. We have hung out live in person. We've also had some crosswords with one another from time to time. He is a speaker. He is an entrepreneur. He is the founder of Total Life Freedom and the Unconference, and he's one of the most genuine human beings I've ever met in the online world. Vincent Pugliese, what's going on, my friend? What's happening,
What's
brother?
up, man? I am super stoked for this because this is just like us in real life, but we're being recorded while we're doing it.
Which is the way that we all should live. Just be yourself, people. And I think we're going to talk like a lot about that today. All right, first of all, let me tell you guys a story. All right. I'm going to tell my version of the story, and I want Vincent to tell his version of the story. And then I'll tell you what, we were together at a live event a few weeks ago, and we were hanging out laughing about this. But man, I remember one day I was just trying to get my task list done, and I'm not going to get into it, but you know, guys, you got wives, you got families, you got businesses, you got stuff going on. And man, I was just looking for a lightning rod, dude. And just randomly, this damn social media that we're all on all the time, you're scrolling, you're getting pissed off, you're looking at the politics, the religion, the people arguing. It's just so stupid. And then you posted something that was actually extremely well written and on point. Dude, I don't know what in the hell happened to me, but it was like a cross because I had just texted you and you just posted that, and I assumed it was about me, and all these assumptions. Yeah. And I was just, man, we just got into it like an exchange. We were leaving each other voicemails. At one point I was like, I don't even know what we're talking about. And then about an hour later, I was like, bro, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know what came with me right there. I was a dick. That was my bad. So and Vince and I have known each other a long time. We've shared students that we've both coached and supported. And he's been on my other podcast. But what's your mindset when you're like, Shane Sams, what the hell are you doing right now, bro?
So I have a theory when it comes to content, whereas if you do something great, I'm going to tell the story and I'm going to name you. If you do something not great, I'm still telling the story, but I'm not going to name you. So I'm not out for publicly embarrassing anybody, but there are a lot of examples in life of, hey, this is this, you're just being honest about it. So, and it wasn't you were a small part of it, but it wasn't you. But
I know. I'll tell you exactly I know what it was, because it was you wrote a post about, damn, people, send me a real message. Don't just copy and paste it.
Yeah.
And that morning, I totally copy and pasted you a thing, man. I sent it to like 4 people, and I was like, God, I don't want to type this 3 or 4 times. Vincent's a good dude. Hey, Vince, what's up? And I totally copied and pasted that message, man. And I was like, yeah, fuck, he's right. That's right.
And you were, and honestly, it was already on my mind. It was already being written. And then I got your message, and I got one other. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And it wasn't like, I don't even think your name was in my mind, but when you have a combo, and I'm like, okay, perfect. Now I got the villain, and the villain isn't the person. We're getting too comfortable. We're getting too comfortable with personal messages that aren't personal anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
That was an interesting process for me, bro, because you were on a walk and we were sending messages back and forth to each other. We were hot, and we're like, what are you doing? Why are we doing this? And
the first part of it was, it was a text. And this is what I've learned. I've lost too many friendships through text messages, meaning you can't sense tone with the text, right? Everybody's text looks the same. I really think they need a sarcastic font. I really believe that should be added in. This is complete sarcasm. I want you to know from the very beginning, and you sent me a message, and
it's like it's pink and purple and blue.
Yeah, it's okay. He's
something really non-threatening. He's just kidding right now.
Yeah. So, and I realized as we're going back and forth, because we were hot and heavy back for a little bit, and I realized, oh crap, I've been down this road before. This is really where it goes sideways. So I was on a walk with my dog, and I sent you a voice memo. I'm huffing and puffing, and then you sent me a voice, and all of a sudden, when we hear each other's voice, when we're hearing each other out, it starts to calm down a little bit.
Totally,
and then I was still kind of like, I didn't mean this towards Shane. I'm trying to say, I didn't mean this towards you. I didn't mean it to be personal towards you. And then later on, you were like, dude, I had a bad day. I'm sorry.
Dude, I had a bad day, man. When we calmed down, and that's what it's funny because if you can't tell, Shane Sams and Vincent Pugliese are not backing down from anything, right, wrong, or indifferent. Once we're in, we're in. You know what I'm saying?
We're totally wrong.
Even when we're totally wrong. So it's like we're good. But like when we started talking on voicemail, we kind of chilled. And man, I don't remember what I did. I might have went to the gym or something. And I was just sitting there and I was like, what the hell just happened? And I was really thinking about it like, it's social media because the way it happens, it doesn't matter if it's personal. That's why people are fighting online all the time because it feels personal. You know what I'm saying? Because you're alone, you're reading it, whatever. And then I can't, and even imagine if we didn't have contact each other at that moment. You know what I'm saying? And I realized that was I actually changed my social media habits a lot after that encounter with you because I was like, I have got to stop consuming this. I've got to stop reading. Even my friends who I enjoy, like I enjoy your content, but it's like I've got to find some way to back off away from this because the world is poisoned right now by texting and social media conversations and consuming posts like all the time, and it's destroying men. Absolutely.
Well, I said it recently. There are a lot of people that I love in real life, and I do not like them on social media.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's a different world because now it's all this posturing and now everybody's an infomercial, right?
Yeah,
everybody is, here's a really emotional story about myself. Hey, subscribe below. I'm like, you turned it into an infomercial. Just tell the story and build the trust. And everybody's got their own method. You could do it that way, but you wind up meeting the person in real life and liking them. And then I'm winding up unfollowing them because I just don't enjoy online. And the funny thing about you and I is we go through all that. And then we're both going to Dustin's event, which I didn't know you were going, and you might not have known that I was going. And then we're in the room the night before, and I look across the room, and here walks in Shane. And I'm like, oh crap! Like we haven't really talked.
We haven't been in space together since this happened. Like person.
And I walked up because I wasn't sure if you were maybe still. And I said the first thing I said to you, if you remember, I'm like, you still mad at me? And
dude, I jumped out of my seat and hugged you so hard. I hadn't seen you in so long, dude.
And then we had like an hour and a half conversation. Beautiful. That if you guys weren't going out for cigars, it was like this. It was just we could have kept going, and that's the in real life.
That's the bridge, man. And that's kind of one thing that like I think we're both doing, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes. Is like I think the world is shifting like back toward real world, in person, shake hands, get the measure of the man. And let that, because you just aren't in person, you're not the same as you are online. Yeah. Because you're alone, you're a keyboard warrior at any given time, anything that's happening to you, and there's no consequence to it, right? Like there's no outcome like that hug we had or like that whatever. And that it's just poison.
There's no checks and balances really, except for people just arguing with you. There's no like, hold on a second. Like you ever talk to somebody and they pause and you realize, oh, they're about to say something impactful and I probably should just be quiet. You don't get that online. You don't get that wisdom online. And now, as you mentioned, like people are, hey, I'm gonna clone myself to have more of me. And it's like, how about you work on the person you are right now before you start cloning yourself? Because maybe you're not there yet. And now
we totally considered like when my team discovered that AI knew who I was and could sound like me, because I've got so much content over a decade online. Like ChatGPT can sound a lot like me. It's not me, but it's really close, or any of the AI programs. You know, they were like, I had this lady in and we were just looking at it and she was like, I can upload all of this stuff, everything you've ever said, everything you've ever done. And you could have an AI person where your community could ask you questions, or it could even podcast for you and things like that. And I get the seductiveness of that, but I'm like, hell no, this is me. Like, I don't want, because, and then what if you go talk to my AI bot and then you and my AI bot have a fight and I don't know about the AI bot fight. And then I see you in person and you're like, F you, Shane. And I'm like, bro,
it wasn't even
Robo Shane. I don't want 10. The world can't handle 10 of me or Vincent. There's one of us, and that's all we can like ever have. Go ahead.
No, but it's the type of thing where I don't get into this disagreement because everybody's got all their reasons for doing stuff and they're living their life their way and building it. Totally. But all I know is here's how I want to live. If my name's on it, I wrote it.
Yeah.
And that's how I want it.
100%.
And I'm not saying everybody should do it that way, but I will tell you this, it's going to make my voice probably a little more authentic simply because you know it's from me, where as soon as I start questioning, is it you or not? I'm losing just a little bit on the trust factor, on the belief
Totally.
factor. And you got to pay attention to that. And I think people are kind of blazing past even that one big, roadblock that I think people should pay attention to.
I've been having some conversations this like in my mastermind and with some of the people that I consult with is I think it's actually going to become a differentiator. I think like I'm literally on my Substack. Mine says I wrote this. This is not AI. It doesn't mean I'm not using AI for research or touching grammar up or spell check or whatever. That's a tool. But like I'm advertising it. Like the community I'm building at greatmen.org, no AI will ever touch that community. If you log in and you see a person post, which we've got dozens of guys in there right now posting almost every single day, like you will see it. It's real dudes, real me. When I post in there or when I reply to your thing, it's me. Because AI is not going to touch inside that community ever. It's not going to happen.
That boundary is huge because I think if you don't pay attention to that, the line is blurred. And in this world, we've seen it. You and I have seen it multiple times. Their entire platform destroyed from a lack of trust. Everything they built up, gone. And then, all the rumors, the kind of gossiping, it happens without you realizing it. And they're talking about it. And I've seen really great men lose it because of it. Because they lost the trust.
Do you remember when Jay Shetty's still huge? You know who Jay Shetty is? Like
yep.
Guy.
The whole thing. Yep.
Yeah. Whether you love Jay or hate Jay, whatever it is, he's got good stuff and bad stuff like everybody else. But like there was this moment where he got destroyed because people realized he was posting quotes like they were him. He would have a quote from a podcast he heard, and he would just put Jay Shetty, and he wouldn't give credit to the person who said it. And that dude about lost everything. I mean, he got demolished, and that was cancel culture was at its height. Now imagine if people find out you didn't write a damn thing on your blog or your Substack, or that wasn't you talking on your podcast. That's not just plagiarism. That's fake. That's not even real, right?
And they're doing it for higher numbers. I get it, but it's the whole, nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. Yogi Berra. When you lose, your core people, the ones that promote you, that talk about you. When you lose your core people for that reason, and you gain a lot of mediocre or just kind of blasé followers that don't really love you, higher numbers, but not as much trust. I remember that, and I don't trust his content to this day, to be completely honest with you.
100%. I don't either. Yeah, me too, man.
Because of that.
Yeah.
So
I think that everybody just needs to take a real hard look in the mirror right now at themselves and say, who do I want to be? And then that should flavor any way you actually like use AI in your business to save money or to do whatever that stuff is. And, it's interesting, like with these problems that we have, like with social media, with not knowing if anything's real, with AI, like all those things, I think that the what do you call it? The sandbox for the conflict that me and you found is getting worse. Like it's going to become much easier to misunderstand each other and even to like get mad at each other. And with the mood that people are bringing from the online world into the real life, like everyone seems a little shorter, more frustrated. And this environment is going to cause conflict. But like, you and I think you and me, me and you are straight up people. So like, we're like, shit, I did something. Hey, F you, or like whatever. Right. And then like, but we're also like big enough to be like, bro, what was that? I'm sorry. Yeah. Like, how do you handle conflict with other men? Like women, I saw this meme the other day that said women handle conflict with each other much differently than like I found that men do. Like I saw this meme, a woman walks in and she goes, I'm so mad right now. Rebecca hasn't texted me in over a week. And these two dudes are sitting on the couch, and this guy goes, it's just a week, honey. I haven't talked to Bob in 9 months. He just stopped by out of nowhere. And she goes, you haven't talked to each other in 9 months? And he goes, he goes, no, Tom texted me on my birthday. And he goes, that was your birthday, dude? I didn't even know it. He's like, happy birthday. it's like, and then they were mad at each other, but they weren't mad at each other. And like, it's interesting how we handle conflict, especially with other guys that are doing stuff. Like what is your general, operating system when you do have conflict with a buddy or another guy? How do you get to repair? You know what I'm saying?
To me, it's all built around, trust and integrity. It really is, because, and I can say that not from a high and mighty perspective of, I was the biggest liar in my youth. I was the lack of integrity, a thief. I know what it looks like firsthand. So, it's like, what movie is that with Joe Clark, where he's the principal? He's like, you're trying to con a con man, right? That's where I come from. I'm like, I have no interest in my life for lying. I have no interest for fake. I have no interest in posturing. So I'm very straightforward, but not everybody likes that. I was going to write a post called "Everybody Doesn't Love Vincent" after everybody loves Raymond. Like the show Everybody Loves Raymond. Like everybody doesn't love Vincent, and it's just the truth because honesty. The older I get, just be real. Just own it. Me or you, own it. Be real. And if you're trying to go around, so I will call people out. As you've seen even from our thing, I will call people out. I will call people out in person. I will not try to embarrass anybody, but to me, if there's not honesty, if there's not integrity, if there's not trust, if there's not just that realness, I have zero interest in it anymore. I lose friends for it. Like I have a friend that literally, we were in business alliance together, but I'm not naming anybody. I could not stand his wife. Couldn't stand it. Very condescending, all these things, right? And we would do family stuff together sometimes. And I tried not to. And he always was trying to get our families together, even though we had a business relationship. And I was trying to be nice about it, avoiding it. And I'm not an avoider, but I'm like, hey, this is not a family. We did not enter this as a family agreement. This was this. And finally it came to a head where he said to me, he goes, do you have a problem with my wife? Is there an issue here? And
good on him though to come straight to you and say that.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But what do a lot of people do in that situation? No, it's all right. This and that. I couldn't lie. And I said, yeah, I don't like your wife. Straight. I don't like her. And I listed all the reasons that had gone on for years. And he said to me in the most polite way, I don't think we can be friends or work together anymore. And I said, that's totally fine. I was completely expecting this to happen. If you asked me this, I was never gonna come to you and tell you this because it wasn't my place to say this.
Totally.
But you keep pushing family stuff, you're putting me in a rough spot. If you ever did ask me, I was going to tell you the truth, and I did. And we have not spoken since that day.
That's interesting though. But like, it's like, it is honesty and integrity. But I think what I'm learning more as the world gets foggier, like the online world, is I'll be 50 in 2 years. And like, as I get close to 50, I value clarity. It's okay to hurt my feelings. It's okay for me to hurt your feelings. Guys, it's okay to have your feelings hurt, right? And if your feelings are getting hurt so bad that you can't function in life, then you got some work to do because that's just an insecurity and a inner child part or something's going on inside of you. But the clarity of like, what the hell are you doing? Or the clarity of what the hell was I doing? Like clarity gets you to the solution so much faster than beating around the bush. And like, even that scenario, which is so tempting to do, like, I was trying to be nice. I did push it off, and we do that to protect things sometimes.
Yep.
But that window for me is shortening more and more either, because I find the longer I don't deal with something with clarity, the worse it is when it actually gets dealt with. And you just got to be clear with each other. Like if someone pisses you off, dude, that sucked. Let me check in with you and assume and see what was happening. I'm not assuming that you weren't right. I'm just like, what's going on? We got to figure this out today, because that mental processing in your background is going to ruin everything you're working on as long as you're thinking about it and avoiding it, And
it goes deeper too. You're absolutely right. But the deeper thing is, once you notice it and you want to say something and you don't, you start noticing little things you never did before.
That's right. And you'll get exactly what you're looking for.
And you're like, but there was that. They did that.
Yep.
Oh, and now by the time you do talk about it, you're really pissed off on multiple. And then they go, why didn't you say something sooner? And they legitimately have that question because you didn't.
Yeah.
And now you're building up all these things where if you just said it, and if people, like you said, if people can't handle it, that's on them. But as long as you're being honest and you're being truthful, and not only just being honest, you're doing it because you care. Like I wanted to preserve the friendship with this person. I just said, I can't do this part of it. I don't have family relationships with all my clients, We don't need to hang out. We can keep doing what we're doing and working
Totally.
and be fun.
Those boundaries are good in a
They're
business
good
relationship. Like
for a reason.
some people cross the barrier, but those boundaries are there for a reason sometimes. And
100%.
it's crazy how many people will cut off their nose to spite their own face in a situation like that. Like if he was getting good business results, why are you bailing because someone has a preference? That doesn't make like any sense. What about when guys come to you and like come to you and they're like, Vincent, I feel like you've done this to me. We got to talk. This is a problem. And maybe they're right. Like, cause that's when it gets me, is when I'm not aware of it and someone tells me and I'm like, ah, shit, I screwed up. Like, how do you handle that side of repair? Like when somebody comes to you?
It's a great question. I don't either. People are holding it in and not telling me, or I don't get a whole lot of people coming to me. I think because I am very straightforward.
Totally.
When they have a problem with me, it's a problem because of me being straightforward, not because I went behind their back and did something shady that they were mad at. When you're too honest, you don't get a whole lot of people saying, "Why'd you do that to me?" They'll say, "I don't like what you said. I don't like that, we fought about it, or you told me that." But listen, I've been around enough liars. I've been around enough connivers. You grow up, in New York.
How did you like? Yeah, how did you grow up in New York in the '80s? That you sound like you were in that. What was that Bronson movie?
Bronx
Death
Tale?
Wish, or whatever. Yeah, Bronx Tale or something. It sounds like you were like climbing over barbed wire into like places. Like what were like, dude? How did you grow up? Where you were around all these things?
First of
You
all,
like got to see that stuff.
we have 3 kids. They're 20, 18, and 14, all boys, and they're jealous. Usually, kids are like, "Oh, you grew up and you're old, Dad, and you don't get it." My kids are like, "I wish I could have grown up in the 80s in New York." That's what they say.
80s New York too, which was a stereotype in movies, basically.
Oh, like my parents joke, like they didn't know, like there's like a comedian talking about it where she's like, people talk about our age group because I'm 54. Like, oh, well, was it really like that? Like, no, there was literally a TV commercial that came on at 10 o'clock at night in New York. I don't know if it was everywhere. And it basically said, "It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?"
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody remembers that.
I remember that commercial. Oh yeah.
That was real because we would leave and we would not come back. And I would go into the city for a concert or go to a club at 17, 18 years old and not get back till 4 o'clock in the morning. And it was real. And you can't BS your way through that stuff. Like if you do something wrong, you're gonna get a fist in your face, and you're gonna So I grew up and it was like, oh, you learn all these different angles and people coming from, and I learned early on after being just not honest that I can't do anything other. But yeah, it was a wild time to grow up in.
You had you had the lies beat out of you probably a number of times that were like, oh yeah, that's not good. I don't want that to happen to me. That's 100% truth. Yeah, man.
100%.
So what we need is more. What Vincent's recommendation for the parents of America is more gang warfare. That's what we need. We need some more gang warfare out there because every once in a while getting punched in the mouth is a good thing. You know what I'm saying?
So there's a great commercial, and it's from like this. It's set in the 70s, and there's a little kid playing with like, I don't know, a metal piece or something, and he's going over to the outlet, and he's about to put it in the outlet, right, and get a major shock, and the mother is like, "Johnny, don't do that," and the dad at the newspaper goes, "Go ahead, give it a shot."
He'll only do it once.
That's how we were raised. Like, oh, I bet
man.
you learned something from that, as opposed to, and I know it sounds very barbaric, but it's like, as opposed to, oh, we got to protect them, we got to coddle them. Like when our kids get into disagreements, like you got to go through it, and if there's a punch in the mouth that comes from it, you're gonna learn how to handle this stuff. And I think people have been way too coddled over the last 15 years in the parenting space.
Hey man, I was an 80s baby. And don't get me wrong, I have definitely made my share of mistakes and apologized to my kids for dumbassery. Okay. Yeah. But I have always, we're both like this. I do have a let them kind of approach. I don't argue with my kids about anything. They make most of their own choices, as long as it's not dangerous, yeah. Right. But like the other night, we took Anna Jo and one of her friends to Neyland Stadium. to see Luke Combs.
Yeah, I saw that.
110,000 people in that state. It was madness, bro. It was crazy. But like the girls, it was cold, man. I was in a hoodie. I was wearing like my long pants, and I was like, I'm telling them, I'm like, guys, 50 is cold. Like you don't think it's cold until you sit in it for 8 hours.
Oh yeah.
And we were telling these girls like they were wearing their little country music things in their boots and everything else. And I said, you guys gonna bring your pants? And they were like, no, we're not gonna bring our pants. And Jocelyn was kind of arguing with her a little bit, like trying to mama bear it, it's cold, you guys are going to get cold. She's trying to explain what's going to happen. And I just said, babe, let them be cold. And it was
Yeah.
hilarious because I'm sitting there and they were huddled up at one point, like sitting in their chairs like this. Like you can't see me unless you're watching on YouTube. There's all like their arms crossed and stuff. And I looked over and I go, Jocelyn, look at their legs. And they had goosebumps and hair sticking straight up off their thighs. And I'm like, she'll bring her pants next
You
time.
bring your pants next time. And that's
She will.
and you don't, and this is probably the biggest side eye thing between me and Elizabeth that happens because she'll, she's the mom. And
Yeah.
what and I'll look at and at first I do too. You want to protect them. And then I'll be like, and I'll give her the look, and I'm like, hon, and she'll go, I know, just let them do it. Just let them do it,
man.
My whole thing is, as long as it's not fatal, you're gonna learn something from this. You don't want the.
I think the fear comes from like, I've thought about a lot about that because I'm tempted to, but with Anna Joe more because I think it's just because she's a girl, she's my daughter. There's a different kind of protective instinct with a girl, I think, than a boy. But I have to really check myself when I do want to do that. But I think it's just, man, by the time your kids get to be teenagers, especially as a man, like there's the way you want the world to work, and there's the way the world works.
Yep.
And once you cross 40, you've been punched in the throat. I mean, you've been kicked in the nuts, and you
Yep.
know how bad things can actually get sometimes, right? And we carry that into our parenting, I think. And we want to, God, I just don't want you to have to go through like what I went through. But then you sit back and you're like, who the hell would I be if I didn't go
I didn't
through
go
all
to
that?
that stuff.
And we're
Yeah.
denying kids that opportunity to become something great when we take all their decisions away from them.
And I think the problem is too, even if you parent that way, you're also dealing with how the other kids' parents are parenting their way. And
Totally.
you have to kind of figure that out together as they're going through it, because certain people don't allow anything. It's an interesting time, but it was, it was a crazy time when we grew up. I don't think the world's any worse. And people disagree with me on that. I don't think it's any worse now. There's just media and social media broadcasting everything.
And actually, if you look at the stats, it's better. That's what's crazy, man. If you look at like world hunger, crime, if you really look at all the things people bitch about on social media, that they say it's the worst thing that's ever happened, it's actually a lot of it's getting better. Life, all these different things across the world, but we are just inundated with it bleeds, it leads in that damn social media all the time. We're all online all the time. We don't see a real human for weeks sometimes.
Well, I can tell you the perfect anecdotal story is I can tell you right now, the madness that we caused in the late 80s, early 90s as teenagers and early 20-somethings, if there were cameras and there were
Jesus Christ. Thank
and
God.
there were, security cameras at bodegas in New York City, we wouldn't have done 99% of the stuff that
99%. But that's another limiting factor on this generation. Like I was reading the other day, 27% of Gen Z is not getting their license at 16.
Yeah.
When I grew up, 99.9 of people got the license 30 days after they had their permit, right?
Couldn't wait.
This is a good stat in one way, but I think it's also indicative of something, which is actually my good transition I'm working on here. The Gen Z is like way down. I think it's in the upper 20% on alcohol consumption. Mm-hmm. And that's a good thing. I don't think that kids should be, alcohol is poison anyway. If you want to have a drink every once in a while, it's fine. I have an old fashioned every time I go out to eat. But I'm not going to be, if you got kids getting drunk, they're messing with their brain before it's fully developed. But I think it's this, because they're online so much, that's the symptom of the real disease is these kids don't go out and hang out as much as we did, man. Like I'm always rushing my kids out the door. I'm like, Isaac, you have a car. You can go anywhere. You can do anything. Like, I trust you. Like, why are you sitting in the living room after school today? And I'm just like, get out of here. Go to the gym. Go play pickleball. Go hang out with your buddies. But I remember when I was a kid, I never even went home after school. No. And I think that's these kids aren't getting in-person enough with each other.
You can, I mean, I know from when I remember we got cable when I was 13 years old, and now all the MTV and all these channels. Before that, it was 5 channels and there was no internet. And your video games eventually left colored circles on your television because you played it
Oh,
too
yeah,
long.
I forgot about that.
You
Yeah,
had
man.
to go out. And
You had to go
now,
out.
even us as adults, and it's not just the kids.
Houses were smaller too, so you were cramped in
It
there
wasn't.
more, you know.
But I was at the beach this morning and there's, 3 older people and they were scrolling and we all do it.
We all do it. That's
It's
true.
built so well to hook us. The algorithm knows us. You talk about AI knowing us. The algorithm knows us. Okay, you've seen a little bit too much of that. Go to this. Remember you like this. And it's like I remember when I used to get bored with the internet a little bit.
Totally.
Now I'm
Totally.
like, it's getting better. Put it down.
Yeah, man.
So it's for
ridiculous.
everyone to deal with.
I really am considering right now. I'm pretty disciplined. I'm not as disciplined as I should be. I try to block time doom scrolling, like literally, like, you know what? I'm gonna sit. I got 30 minutes today. I'll sit here and watch YouTube videos. It'll be fun. I can send some funny stuff to my buddies, and I try to block it. But man, there's times where that random friend will send you a meme, and you're like, "That's hilarious," and you just scroll without even knowing it, and then you
Also
look up,
weird.
and it's 20 minutes later. And I'm thinking about getting a different phone. I'm gonna have one phone that I carry around with me and one phone that I use like for work, like to post on Instagram and stuff like that.
And then leave it
Because
alone.
yeah, because you can't stop it. They win. They have billions of dollars, scientists, AI, like they're going to suck you in. This is a conversation I've been having with my wife because and the stuff you're being sucked in by is toxic. It's totally what's your biggest pain point? Let me give you guys let me give you a little marketing lesson here. Problem, agitate, solve. The first one is you're going to scroll until you see you have a problem and you agree with it. The next post is going to be something that agitates that. And then the next post is going to be an ad. And you are in that until you buy or turn your phone off. That's how it works. And it's just killing us all. But me and you, we're fighting this, boys. Everybody listen out there. We're fighting it because me and Vincent, we do live events. We do live events. I've got Great Men Guys trips. We've got a conference that we're just looking out for the fall. And you have this amazing idea. You told me about this at Dustin's event, the unconference. I've done a lot of unconferencing, mostly because I was extremely cheap when I became an entrepreneur. And I was like, I was the guy that was like, let's go to San Diego. We'll go to social media marketing world, but we won't buy a ticket. We'll just hang out in the lobby and eat lunch with everybody. I've made more friends at lunch at social media marketing.
You actually, I
Go on,
wish
dude.
I had the guts to have done that.
I unconference all the time, man. Here's what I did with my first live events. So we would look where live events were. And don't get me wrong, I've gone to a lot of live events too. Like I do enjoy that. I'll get the VIP pass or I'll speak and then I'm hanging out inside with everybody. There's good things about that too. But I realized that early on when we went to our first couple of conferences, I'm like, Jocelyn, all we're doing is meeting people and going to lunch and like they're all here. So let's just go to this thing and we'll be in town. I would host a live event of my own. So I would do a mastermind or something, sell it out, have my own little thing 2 days leading up to it. Get a hotel near the venue and just what's everybody doing? Where y'all at? What's happening right now? Where are we going? And you end up at these lunches with crazy people and everything's hanging out. And I didn't have to go listen to all the talks, which is fine. I like talks, but I didn't have to do it. But you literally created an unconference. Like what is this thing, man? Like what are you doing right now?
It's funny because right around the time that you were not buying a ticket to social media marketing world in probably 2017, I was.
Yep.
And I didn't go to any of the speakers. I did the first time. Okay, so here's the way I look at it. The very beginning, the new people go. They don't want to miss out. And you're a speaker. I'm a speaker. But at the same time, like, I want to go to these events to meet people, right? Nothing against the speakers. And I remember one time calling Elizabeth, and I was at the hotel down in San Diego, and she's like, who'd you see? And I said, I didn't see anybody. And she never questions any of it. She never questions what I invest in, what I buy. But this is the one time she goes, let me tell you something. You spent $1,300 for a ticket. You got a flight to San Diego. You got a hotel for 4 nights. You're eating out. You're doing all these things. And you didn't go see anybody? And I said, no, I just hung out in the hallways all the time.
Yeah.
And that's when I met Pat Flynn. And that's when Pat endorsed my first book. And that's where I hung out with Dan Miller. And I wound up joining his mastermind. That's when John Lee Dumas and Shane Sands, all these people are here. And the experienced ones are hanging out in the hallways and they're having long conversations and they're doing business deals. And all the beginners are coming out of the events when the doors open with all their notes that they're never, ever going to read.
Yeah.
And then they say, oh, but it's all about the network and the people you meet. So go network at 10 o'clock at night when there's a DJ blasting music in some loud bar.
And everybody's hammered.
And everybody's hammered.
And they don't even remember
That's
meeting you at that point.
connection. So after doing this a couple times and going to these events and not going, I said, we should do an unconference. And they were like, what's that? I'm like, we'll do the opposite. It's very Seinfeld. We'll do the opposite. We'll do it. Nobody had the guts to create the event, but get rid of 90% of the things that most people don't find valuable.
Yeah.
We're not going to have a stage. We're not going to have speakers. We're not going to do flag bags. We're not going to have a pitch man. We're not going to do an upsell. We're not going to do all the things everybody says you have to do.
This is like the Savannah Bananas of conferences is what this is right now.
Well, what a compliment. That's a huge compliment because Jesse,
Totally, bro.
you know, I've studied Jesse, you know, he joined Dan's mastermind, Dan Miller, back when I was in it, and they hadn't even really blown up yet. And he was talking so all this rubs off because it's like we can get away with doing the opposite, not only get away with it, but really create a cult following on something that people really love. Because as you know, you're going to these events, but the value is not where the event leaders usually say it is.
For most people, because like I had an interesting thing one time. I went to Funnel Hacking Live one time. And I had been to a funnel hackathon with Russell out in Boise, and I went to this. We had the VIP ticket. We did the whole thing just to be in all the whatever you want to be in. And I was in Funnel Hacking Live, and one of my students was actually there, like someone who had been a part of my community and helped her launch a business. She'd quit her job and done all these cool things. And we were like, hey, we're going to be there. Let's hang out, right? Now, I had never seen Tony Robbins live. And I am like that kind of stuff isn't like, it doesn't really fire me up or anything, what Tony does, but like I study craft. I love watching a great master of the audience work his craft, right? So I'm taking notes. Everybody else is taking notes on, you know, the power's within you, and they're writing that down. I'm like, Tony walked to the left for 1 minute and 57 seconds. Like I'm timing when he changes slides and like all this stuff because I'm a speaker. And so I'm doing this. We're about an hour and a half in, and I pretty much have their whole production schedule on my notebook. I'm like, okay, cool. This is amazing. I got this. And I looked over at Jocelyn. I said, hey, let's go out in the hall. I don't want to watch the rest of this thing. And I asked her name is Jeanette. I said, Jeanette, we're going to go out in the hall. You want to go? And she looked at me and she said something. This was only like her second year in business, and she had never been to a conference before. And she said, hey, I know you guys are like way ahead of me in the game, but I really need this right now for me and my business. I'm like, great. That is amazing. Now, a few years later, I see the same person at another conference, and she's like, where are we eating lunch? I don't want to go to this guy. It's seasons when you need certain parts of those like kind of events.
It's so great. Like when people say, like, hey, who is this for? Right? Because my event is for people that love live events. They love connection. They love brainstorming. It's for people. It's for the third year and above. It's for her once she got it. And I love speakers too. I just went to the Unreasonable Hospitality event in Nashville. Will Guidara, who wrote the amazing book. Now, there were a lot of speakers, but they were all seasoned and professional. There was a few of those, their team. What I don't like are these conferences that throw in every free speaker.
Oh, anybody we got 17 breakout sessions and get in there, and that person doesn't know how to speak, and they don't know how to create a presentation.
And then it's the pitch, and they're not even very good. And you go, listen, I think there's a too low of a barrier to get in there. I love great speakers. I don't like bad to mediocre speakers.
Anytime I see a speaker, and I am a speaker snob. I'm sorry. I am, because I am one. But like if I get in there and you're 3 slides into a perfect webinar from .com Secrets from Russell Brunson, I'm out. I can't handle that like cookie cutter nature. It's not that I've never gotten value from those things, but you've got to say, how does this talk, this hour, this information, how does it actually move the needle? If it moves the needle, I'll go in and I'll buy your product. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But most of them don't.
The problem is you never even know. You don't know you don't know who it is. And that's why the whole idea was, what if we brought, like we would go to these events, it was 1,000 people. And I was like, my dream was, there's 100 of them that I'm just like, they're amazing. They're great. They're interactive. They're curious. What if this was curated to 100 people, 100 of the good ones, and we actually gave them the space to collaborate and connect and spend that time together and really work.
How are you doing that? Like, tell me more about that. Like, I do a lot of masterminds and retreats that are like structured but unstructured. Like, you don't really feel the structure, but there is a flow to it, like a rhythm, right? Like, how are you taking, 100 people, 200 people in a room, and I think you cap it at 100. You said a second ago, right? Cap it at 100. Like, how are you managing the flow of that to create a container that facilitates that kind of connection? Because it's not just, hey guys, we're here at the lobby, we didn't rent the ballroom.
Have fun for 2.5 days, do whatever you want. I'll tell you this, there's an aspect of that. Meaning,
Totally.
If you want to do that the entire time, you will not get FOMO. You will not. It's a choose your own adventure, is the way that I look at it. It's a choose your own adventure. If you know that you just want to go and talk to people and go down to the restaurant with 3 of your new friends and have a 4-hour conversation, you're not going to have FOMO of like, oh, we're missing this speaker. You can do it. But what we do is we create tracks where we have sessions, right? So there is structure. It's like Bruce Lee talks about water. Water can fit into a cup, a bowl. It has structure, but it's very flexible, right? So we have these different sessions and these different tracks. So last year we had active income, investing, content mastery, and there was one other. And there was these 4 tracks. And then we had table talks within each one. And we had facilitators within each one. And you got to choose which conversation you wanted to be a part of. So it wasn't anybody speaking at you. It was a facilitator that was an expert in a roundtable discussion on anything that you're really interested in and you need, or you can go to the meetup room, or like, as we said, you can choose whatever way you want. Or if you're just tired and you want to go to your room and take a break during the session, go. We get tired. It takes away all of the, I need
Pressure.
to do stuff. And then people like Katie Brinkley messaged me afterwards and she goes, I'm not even tired. She goes, I'm on the plane back to Denver. I'm not even tired because it was
energized, probably.
What's that? Yeah, energized, as opposed to like, I'm just exhausted from.
I don't even remember what I did. Oh my gosh.
Well,
I don't remember what happened.
Because Shane, these events, I hate to say it, I hated school. I hated sitting in class all day. Right?
Yeah.
So now you're taking all these great entrepreneurs, you and me and Dustin, all these people, and you're putting us in class for 2 days.
Totally.
Man. What a terrible idea for entrepreneurs who want to get up and walk around.
I figured that out too, like with my events, when I did my first 100-person event. Like, one of the things that, like, it was funny, but this was actually an accidental discovery. It was more of a preference because it's my conference. I'll do whatever I want. That's kind of how it works. And I'm like, we were in there and like they were setting up the ballroom in rows, like classroom style. And I did this event and I was like, I'm looking at the room and I'm like, I don't want rows. Who wants to sit in rows? You can't talk to anybody.
Can't talk to anybody.
And then we did rounds. So I changed it to rounds. And then I was like, okay, now we've got to like, how can we kind of navigate people toward pods of where they would want to sit with someone that was in their space or like whatever like that. And then a one innovate, again, this is all me just trying things. This is not like I'm a genius or anything, but it did pay off big time later. Was, I hosted my first live event and I did all the speaking, right? So I was like, I'm doing 2 8-hour days, Shane Sams on the stage by myself, because this was more of a my people kind of thing, right?
Teaching, yeah.
And I have a master's degree in like teaching and a bachelor's in education. So I am that curriculum and instruction is what I did for a living before I became an entrepreneur. And I'm looking at this, like how people are telling me how to do all these things about, you got to do this and you got to do that. And I'm like, this is not good for learning. This is not good for anything. So I actually would speak for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Then we'd have a 20-minute work session where we would actually do something.
Mm-hmm.
And so fast forward a few years later, and I get into the seminar world when we started Life Surge. And same thing, I get in there and everybody's like, I go watch a couple guys who are doing different seminars on, investing or whatever. Everybody's in classroom rows, people wearing suits. And I'm like, this sucks. I don't want to do this. And I brought that workshop model in, and people were like, whoa, we've never seen anybody do this. We want to control the environment. Well, you don't want to control the environment. You want to make it a great environment that everybody learns from and has a good time with. That's what it should be when you're at a live event.
Here's the dichotomy of it. I've talked to a lot of live event people, and the reason why they don't want to do it my way, which I'm fine with that, even though I want to shake up the industry. The thing is, if you do it that way, it makes sense if you want to control the message.
Yes.
Right? If you want to control the message and you have an upsell you want to do, right? Because
Totally.
we can't do this without leading them towards the sale. And I heard somebody say at one of the events, like, well, we can't everybody talking to each other because they might get the wrong information, right? That's the leader saying so
Fear.
our structure blows that all apart. I'm the
Yeah.
one that brings the people together. I'm not the hero of the event,
Yes.
right? Everybody is the hero. We don't elevate the speakers. We elevate all the attendees. We do a program where we introduce all the attendees in the program. I've never seen that done before. That would be
That's incredible.
in the program. So
Yeah, man.
the whole idea is like, I'm giving up the authority of my message where I'm believing in the greater good of everybody, and I'm not looking to sell you anything. So
Totally.
that only works if you feel like you want a great event, as opposed to we're building out the sale for the next thing. And I'm all you do whatever you want to do. I'm not against.
And you're playing the
I
long
just know
game
there's a need
too.
for this.
Like, I always view everything like zoomed out, and like the funny thing about that is like I think a lot of people are like, I have to make this sale today. I have to pitch it. I have to control this. I have to point everybody to this exact thing, or I won't be able to do whatever I want to do, X, Y, Z. But like, if people have an epic experience, they're in your wheelhouse forever. And when they need you, they're still going to buy your product and your service if it's fit for them. You don't have to close them there and trick them into doing anything or whatever.
100%.
It's going to be a better experience.
I had people sign up for my coaching the night of the first event, and I didn't even offer it. It was just for my conversation. I didn't talk about it. And so what we do also, Shane, is after the first two, we now make it where 50 of the tickets go to alumni and 50 of the tickets go to new attendees, because we want the flavor of the prior events, but we want new blood. What that also means is you're not only am I not selling you something, you're not even guaranteed a spot next year.
That's right.
But what it does is the people that want it, we're already sold out for alumni for next year already. And
which seeds you being able to go get the ballroom and get the thing and make all that happen.
We're all so now it's just interviewing the new attendees because I interview everybody. I got it's an application, and I turn down way more people than I give it to, because it's not just the business acumen. It's, are you curious? If I'm on a call with you for 45 minutes and you don't ask any questions, there's no way you're getting in, right?
You're not coming in. So you're not coming for service. You're coming for taker.
So I now get to build my roster. This is my 100-piece puzzle. That's my art now. Photography used to be my art. Creating the right group is my art. I also know that if this will sell out way in advance. It sets us up to do another one, and then another one. As opposed to getting bigger, the focus on getting better. And it's hard. It's like a club that's hard to get into. You can't do that if you're trying to sell as many tickets as possible, and it doesn't matter who's there.
I know when we talked a few weeks ago that we were thinking the same way right now about like our live events, because like I've been on this mastermind. I've been in this group of guys that we text each other every day, and every year for over a decade, we go to Dale Hollow Lake in Tennessee and we rent a houseboat. So that's our guys trip that we take once a year, all come together. But there's 4 of us that are in this like text thread mastermind, kind of just my bros. And we always invite 2 new people to the trip because we want new blood into that trip.
Yep.
But we always tell them, this is an invite thing. Nobody pays the come. We just split the houseboat or whatever. But we tell them, you can never come back. So we like, this is your shot, bro. You know what I'm saying? This trip. And it's the most unconference thing ever. There's absolutely no structure, but it always happens the same way. And guys started saying every year, they were like, this is amazing. I can't believe you have guys that you do this with. And I've been to masterminds. I've paid $30,000 for masterminds. I've never gotten as much value. And we're just dicking around half the time, swimming in the lake and eating food. But those conversations that would happen in those things were so amazing. And finally, I started listening when every year people would say, I wish I had something like this. I wish I had something like this. I finally was like, wait a minute, why don't I do that? Like that's what Great Men's really built around, is getting people in those more intimate, not retreats. It's more like a guy's trip, but that unstructured, structured thing. I've got some ideas for what we're going to weave in, cigars around the fire and some things like that. But that's where the magic happens on these guys trips. We're actually about to do the first one in Golden, Colorado in June. I got about 15 guys already signed up for it.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, man. But like you got to have that new blood,
You
and you've
got
got
it.
to have some. You got to have some scarcity. You got to have some urgency. Like
Scares-
get in there. There's only 100 spots. Let's go.
But
Right?
what you also described is it's a what is the right word? It's a respect towards the people coming, right?
Mm.
I've been to events where it's so structured.
It's fans first, like Jesse Cole.
It is.
Yeah, man.
People feel disrespected. I've heard that word used when they go to a more of a cookie cutter. I feel like people say, like, I took a flight, I got a hotel, and they just led me on this cookie cutter path. What you're doing, what I'm doing, we're valuing the individual as opposed to just the message that we're trying to say. Like you're giving freedom for somebody that might not have a platform to be able to speak around a campfire that would normally not get that space. And it's elevating people that we just seem to undervalue if you have the right people in the room. That's why the hardest part of what I do, and I said this to my friend Wayne Herring, who came to the event, he goes, how did you get this group of people together? And I said, the hardest part of all of it is making sure the right people are in the room.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You
do
can
have to
sell
filter
tickets.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the hardest part. Anybody can go do an unconference, but if anybody goes and the people you connect with and mastermind with it's just anybody, it's not going to be nearly as valuable.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. I need when we're ramping up like for the rest of the year, but like I like the interview to come on the trip, and it's okay to tell people like, hey, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just not ready for this
It's
yet.
not fit. I tell
It's
people
just
that
not
every
fit
week.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're just not a good fit for what we're doing. But here's maybe 3 things you could do in your business, in your life, in your whatever. Or hey, you all you've done is ask what you're going to get out of this. Maybe think about some more generosity or what you can bring to it next time, and then apply next year, and you can come back. It seems coaching almost to help them improve.
Well, remember what I said when we first started talking about this, where, I'll write this, I'll tell the story. I won't name you but I had somebody for the first one reach out to me, and the first thing she said was, will my ideal client be there?
Oh, no, that's not. That's not why you're going.
She was 30 seconds into the call and she was eliminated. I didn't say it yet, but I'm like, I am not building an event around your ideal client so you can pitch everybody. Now, does business come from this? Absolutely. Are collaborations formed? Yes, but not in that way. So right away, out. No, that's not in the best interest of this group to bring people in that are thinking that way.
That's kind of how I always think about you too, though, because like, as long as I've known you, like it's always been abundantly like clear that your philosophy is built around authentic relationships and like generosity, with information, with truth, with honesty, with like integrity. That's something I'm really inspired by, that you do that with. Like what did anchor you to relationships and generosity over transaction? Was it just the way you felt during transactional relationships, or like because you hammer it, like you're authentically saying that out loud all the time? It's real relationships and generosity as a business strategy. Like what anchored you to that, and how has that served you in your business and your stuff?
That's a great question. It all came from the fakeness that I experienced in business, the dishonesty that I experienced in business, the people, you call them red light people. When the red light's on, they're a hero, they're awesome. And then you see behind the scenes how they treat people, how they'll say one thing over here, but in their real life, they do this. And there's more fakeness in this world, especially in the online world, than people care to admit. And I'm not here to try to point fingers at people, but I am here to point fingers at the way they go about it. So I don't have to name you to call out the actions. But the only way I can really call it out is by saying, like you just said, I am clearly in the authenticity and the real and the generosity camp. That's where I'm at. So what it does, Shane, is it really repels those people. Those people that were going to come along and try to slide in and be a sleazy person, kind of with the business cards, and they know they're going to stick out like a sore thumb because we're really editing this thing. So whether we work one-to-one or in these events, it's very focused on that. Because if I don't do that, if 30% of the people are like that, well, you're going to lose your best 20% because they don't want to be around those people. And you're only going to get another 30% of sleazeballs. And before you know it, that's the entire thing. And you've killed your entire brand.
That's why I
So
stopped going to Funnel Hacking Live, because it just became this like orgy of takers. Like everybody was selling something and pitch. You couldn't talk to anyone for 2 minutes without them trying to get you to do something. And I'm
that's it.
like, why are you here? Like, what is happening right
That's why they're there. And
now? I know,
because
man.
because it's allowed.
Yeah.
One of the nicest things said, Brian Nash said at the event last year, because we were just kind of in between talk about what we learned. And he said, it just feels like we're all trying to outgive each other.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I was like, wow, that's really special to hear.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to do.
Because then the reciprocity starts, and it's all going to come back.
It does.
Like when you're generous. And when I was, I mean, you know my background. Like I was the guy doing monthly memberships like for 10 years. Like that's all we taught, because one, I'm a big believer in community.
Mm.
Two, the business model of monthly recurring provides a great platform for you to do other things, right? Like you have this
100%.
stable, predictable income. Like you've had memberships, you know this.
Yeah.
And like when I was developing the plans with my people on what Great Men was going to be, and I was trying to explain it, you know, my big catchphrase was always, you know, if you can get 100 people to pay you $50 a month, you'll make 60 grand a year. Like it's always been my catchphrase for any membership model. And I actually was typing out, we were working on the membership page, and my brain goes immediately to my methodology. And I'm like, all right, it's going to be $50 a month. What do they get for $50 a month? And it felt wrong, dude, because like the vision of Great Men is to find good men who are stuck and because they're doing what everybody else wants them to do, and they really have a dream, they really have a vision, they want to climb down the ladder that they climbed because they didn't like it, and they want to go a different direction. And I was like, dude, I don't want dudes to not be able to access this because there's or at least not try it because there's $50 a month. And I erased it, and I was like, what if we do it for free, but we create a membership that's better than any paid community? So I started joining all these guys groups, these crazy alpha manosphere Navy SEAL cosplay guys or whatever they are. And I started looking at them and joining them, and I joined some dad groups and some other identities that men wear. And I started looking at them, and I was like, dude, you get like a call a month for $100 a month. You get like there's a forum, but like nobody's in it because there's not enough people in there. And I was like, I don't want to do it this way. So I was like, what if we did live events every week, multiple live events, not just me hire someone to do it. Shane Sam shows up, and you can hang out with me, and we're getting after it. What if we had forums, but completely based on different things? Like in our community, I think guys don't get asked these two questions enough. How are you feeling? Like really, like how are you feeling? Are you okay? Guys don't get asked that question enough. And also, what are you excited about building? Not what are you building?
Yeah,
what
are
are
you excited about?
excited about
I love
building?
that question.
You know what I'm saying? Because then it's what you want. It's not what society or somebody else told you want. So I was like, so we start building this little community out. We get a few people in there and start playing. And then I was talking to somebody, I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about pay what you want models. And I was like, tell me more about that. I want to know how you've done that. I've never really experimented with that model, but I was like, well, if I was going to charge for this, you know, and keep it cheap, I'd charge $10 a month, but I want to give it away for free. I want anybody to be able to join the community. I was like, but what if it was $10 a month, and there was a guy that was like, he didn't trust me enough to pay me, or he just didn't have any money in his account, like what he could do? Could he join this? And I was like, well, but me or what if Vincent joins? But Vincent sees that it's $10 a month. He's like, no brainer to me. But you're like, wait a minute, $20 a month, that covers 2 people. $50 a month covers 4. And I built the entire payment structure of the community on generosity. Like on the men cannot be, if you want to be in the community, go sign up. Name, email, phone number. I just need to know who you are, right? But as you're coming in. And then we have pay what you want model, but it's designed to cover other people because there are costs to running a business, right?
Yeah.
Shockingly, in the first 100 people that joined, almost 20% of people chose generosity. And I've had people that picked the free tier. I've had multiple people write into me and say, look, this is the game changer for me. I can't believe I actually have guys to talk to now. And their goal is to become one of the generous tiers. When
they want to become that.
They want to become that, like no pressure. Yeah. And dude, because of that mentality, the conversations that are happening there are instantly vulnerable, instantly real. because you know you're in a place where you're welcome no matter what your circumstances are. And there's guys in there that are literally paying for other people's memberships so they can support it.
I love that.
And I'm like, I wish I'd done this 10 years ago. I wish I'd
Well,
done it with Flip Lifestyle, dude. But I didn't know. I wasn't ready.
you couldn't have done it 10 years ago.
Couldn't
You
have done
wouldn't
it. Yeah,
even understand the value of what it was compared to the other way.
totally, man. Yeah. It's been super interesting to feel the difference in the vibe when you allow generosity to drive your decision making instead of how are we going to pay the bills? We're paying the bills because it's already paying for itself. Let's go. Right.
And I think it's an advocate of, we haven't talked about like financial freedom, which is just always was I want to get to the point where I don't need any of this stuff. I don't need anything. Right. But it allows you, like, people can even see, like, I just shut down my membership, 180 paying people, paying good. And it just didn't line up with me anymore. But I think also people were just stunned that I can do it, that I could financially do it. So the whole point is when you can get the financial freedom, you can create the event or the membership or whatever it is that you really want to do that you probably couldn't have done 10 years ago, but you can lead by example of it, where I can lead by example, like, hey, you can get to a point where you can shut down a solid income stream just because you want to do something that's more to your heart. Like, I love what you said, because when people say to me, like, what do you do for a living? Right? I got multiple things. What I lead with now, and it's funny you said that, is, well, let me tell you what I'm most excited about. That's how I started.
Yeah.
So it's funny you said that.
I usually say I change lives for a living. I got a good track record of it, bro. That's what I was like. Yeah, but also I'm like, podcast. I speak sometimes. Sometimes I'm just sitting around in my house. I don't know what I'm doing.
Depends on the day. It's like I tell people
on the day, bro.
It's like a cat with 9 lives. Which day are we talking about here? So
yeah, man, that freedom versus security thing is interesting because, like, I definitely I've been a part of some really big things. Like, I've sold businesses, I've built companies to really crazy numbers with people as partners, and like we've done some really cool things. But I definitely fell into there was about a 3-year period where I fell into what's the next goal? What's the next financial number? How do we scale? I fell into the scale trap really quickly. Yep. I fell into I've never been able to buy a truck. I'm gonna go buy a truck kind of thing. And that freedom versus security thing, it always felt like I was pushing security. If I could just get enough space to the point where nothing could go wrong, even if I screwed everything up, I couldn't lose everything. But that number kept ballooning every time we would hit a new benchmark. The most sales we ever did at one of my events in 1 month, was we did $800,000 in sales. Now, that's not all my money, people. We were eating from a whale. We had partners. Like, we're getting some of that. But, like, we did this, and I was in a meeting, man. And I was like, what was the number last month? And my director of operations told me. And I remember this feeling. I created a remembrance because I never wanted to feel this again. I just felt, I went, dang, we almost had our first $1 million month. And later that day, I was sitting outside going, was I just disappointed in a number that I could not have fathomed when I was making $32,000 a year as a school teacher in Southeast Kentucky? Yeah. And it changed. And I was like, I'm playing a game that has no ending, that is just never ending, and it's going to crush me. And I had to reevaluate my balance between the freedom that I want versus the security that makes me feel comfortable, like, for my family. Like, how have you wrestled with that on your entrepreneur journey, or just as a man?
This is where I've been the most lucky in life, to be quite honest. Not my wife and kids, where I've been the most lucky in my health, but business wise, I've always had such a low need that freedom to me came way earlier than it does for most entrepreneurs. And I never let go of it. I guess that's my thing. And what's happened is, as the numbers kept increasing, it padded things, but I still feel the way that I did when $5,000 a month paid all of our bills.
And that's the way to go, bro. Like, I've done it both ways. I'm telling you, man, like, this is a good juxtaposition of me and Vincent, because I think it was the people I was with, because they were just balling out, doing crazy, preposterous things, which was fine. It was great. It was wisdom. It was learning. But, like, it was like, oh, I need the next thing. I need the next number. I need the next scale. Like, I'll just be successful when I get that X million or whatever. And I got totally lost in that trap, man, for like 3 years. And I've
And
recalibrated now back to where I'm happy, basically.
but that trap was my biggest fear.
Mm,
That trap you got into, and when you told me this in Nashville, it would really hit home because that was always my biggest fear. And I think it held me back from growth.
mm,
It really did, because I was like, because I'd see it and I'd see people in it, and they were not very happy people doing
mhm,
numbers that I was envious of. At the same time,
mm.
I had freedom that they did not have.
Yes, sir.
And I was like, wait a second, what's going on here? Because they're coming to me and they can't schedule a call because they're so busy and their staff just screwed them over and all this. And I'm sitting here like, I'm at the beach and I'm cool and I'm playing with my kids. And I'm like, wait a second, I know they make a lot more than I do, but I got a lot more freedom than they do. What gives here?
Which
And
one do I value the most in this moment? And I think
it was,
it's the security thing. I think people want big things. Like they're like, oh, I want to ride in first class. I want to get the nice hotel. That's part of it. But for me and the people that I know that have also recalibrated this in their life, it's this fear, this like I won't have enough if China invades and I got to hole up for like 6 years and I got all these
yeah,
fears that we have. It's never enough when you don't even know if you're going to be alive next week. No one
my,
knows that.
my brother passed away in his sleep a year and a half ago at
Yeah,
almost the
man.
exact age that I'm at right now. I can
Yeah.
tell you, I wake up every single day and I go, I woke up and I'm
Yes,
happy,
sir.
right? I woke up, and our whole philosophy always was luxury later. It was freedom
Yeah.
first, luxury later. And ironically, we're sitting here in a beach house that we just bought over here in Bradenton. Look at the water right now. We just closed last week on it. We could have bought this 4 years ago, right? I'm sitting here and I'm like, it was never about, I need to sacrifice anything to get this. We got it because we could, but
Right.
but I didn't need it. I always needed the freedom. I would never sacrifice my freedom for this place. This place
Mm.
came after it all.
Freedom first, luxury later. Man, you need a
That's it.
t-shirt for that, dude. That's a good t-shirt, bro. Because I think what calibrated me the wrong way was one of the first books I ever read when I was a school teacher trying to be an entrepreneur was the 4 Hour Work Week. And I thought
Mhm.
that was the goal. You just make enough money where you only have to work 4 hours a week and you hire everybody and do all these things. And we did that. We totally did that. But I had too much freedom and
Yep.
I was bored and I was not happy. And I was like, whoa, this doesn't work. Well, maybe that other way will work. I'll just
Yep.
go build millions in sales and we'll hire 30 people. But then like I was working 7 days a week. My schedule was being told to me.
Yeah.
I was
And
waking
you're
up and
supposed
someone telling me what to do, and I was like, "Well, I'm in charge around here. What the hell's going on?"
So if we were talking back and forth at that time, it would be such a dichotomy because I have nobody telling me what to do. I have, like even my coaching, Shane, it's asynchronous coaching. It's through voice messages. I don't even have calls on my schedule.
Do you use
This
Marco
is the
Polo? What do you use for that? What do you use for that?
I
For
use
the
Facebook.
asynchronous?
I use basic Facebook Messenger because that's where I'm at. And I
That's
have all
right.
my clients on there and they message me and we have parameters around it.
You
I
do
don't
check Facebook Messenger more than your text messages. Like that's like, I
100%.
when I'm trying to get a hold of you, I go to Facebook. I got your
That's
phone
what,
number, but I'm like, whatever, dude. I was going to Facebook him
because
because
people,
I know he's hanging out.
and I try to do it, but I'm like, that's where I'm at. But
That's good,
that's where
dude.
all the coaching comes through because I want freedom. I'm driving to see my mom and my parents. I can get in touch with people. It's during all my fragmented time of my day.
I call that
Driving.
found time. Found
Yeah,
time. That's what I call that. Yeah. Like you're in the car. Like we were driving down to Luke Combs the other night and Jocelyn drove down and I'm over here jamming on my computer getting stuff done because I don't want to do it when I'm not where I don't want to be doing it.
100%.
Yeah,
But
man.
if I'm in the car driving over here, I can get my memos done. I can go back and forth. I have time to think. They ask me a question instead of in the moment. I could think for 2 hours and give them a better answer. Like this
I
was
love
developed.
asynchronous coaching, man. It's the way to go.
It's
You coach better asynchronously. You really do.
100%. But
Zoom
also,
calls, that doesn't work unless you're
but just
building
like you
something.
said about your membership, I wish I would have thought of this 10 years ago. I wouldn't have appreciated it 10 years ago. I would
Yeah.
not have appreciated it. So now between our events and this and our investing, I have nothing on my calendar, but but I'm always doing stuff that I love doing. It's always working towards that freedom. and the freedom built the luxury, but the luxury is not a burden. The luxury doesn't
Totally.
hold me down. And I don't have to compare. I didn't run in the same circles that you did to have that comparison of like, crap, I'm doing great, but everybody's doing this. I didn't have
It's
that.
not even
That's
it's not even they're doing that. They're telling you should do that.
totally.
And that should, if it, I tell this
I
to
saw
all
your
the
post
people
today
that I
about it.
coach. Did you see that post about that?
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
did.
guys, because they should all over me. You should do this, you should do that, and I'm like, don't should me.
Yeah.
And if I have learned to hear that word, if I hear that word coming from other people, I'm like, this is probably not the person I need to be taking advice from, because you're just telling me an anecdotal slice of your life. That's all
Yep.
you're saying. And it's good. It could be true, but like, don't you tell someone
It's
they
so
should
much
do something, you're done.
Shane, it's so much deeper because you know from this, a lot of this comes, you're talking real men, it comes from our own insecurities.
100%. It's
Our
all insecurity.
success that we're going towards is so often because your dad didn't pay attention to you. Because all the and you're following somebody that appears to be crushing it. And but all they're really doing is trying to get their dad's approval, who will never give them their approval. And you're following this person where, and I'll tell you my own story where I had that too. It wasn't financially, it was approval from my dad. And I never thought I was going to get it. And I was 42 years old and I had 3 little kids and we were in our house in Pittsburgh. We hadn't moved to Florida yet. And my brother, who had passed away a year and a half ago, was always my joke was he was favorite son and I was second fiddle. Literally, when we played deck hockey, those were our names on our jerseys that I printed out.
That's
And we were going out of the garage into the backyard to play ball with the kids, and I made some type of making fun of myself joke to my dad, like, oh, I'll never be able to do what Steve did. And my dad looked at me and he said, what are you talking about? He goes, you got a great business, you got an awesome wife, 3 amazing kids, the life that you want. What are you talking about? Like you've done it. That was the first time I ever really heard that. My ambition level of prove them wrong almost dissipated that day.
Dang, man. That's deep, dude.
But it hasn't, if you know my dad, it's not like he said that many times since then, right? Yeah. But all I needed was that. And I thought about it. If he would have passed away the year before,
you never would have heard it.
I would have never heard it. And I probably right now would have working towards $1 billion business. I probably would have been, because I gotta prove. I don't have anybody to prove any of that to right now. And that's where I think the freedom comes from.
That's a real thing, bro. Man, thank you for sharing that. That was amazing, dude. Because I think there's a lot of guys out there that are dealing with that, and I think that's why brotherhood's important too. Because your dad might be dead, you might have something else, like there might be something going on, but there's just something about that. I mean, like dudes, we're always letting our women to choose us, or want our women to be here, but like when you've got bros that are like, you're doing a good job, dude. Like, it's okay. Like, you need that masculine support. I don't want you to tell me what to do, and I don't want you to blow smoke up my ass. But like, it's good sometimes when you're struggling to just have that. You're doing a good job, bro. Like, you're handling this the best you can, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And when you got that from your dad, like that one time, it's that one thing. That's what a lot of guys just need, is that one thing. Am I doing okay? And the problem is those people that are coming at you from the other side. You should do this. You should do this. Go higher. Next scale up. I call those people evangelists, and not from a religious standpoint, although there is a little bit of this, like with some like what evangelist, where I got this from. I think that most people that are doing that, it looks like they're trying to give you advice. It looks like they want to give you help, but they're evangelizing themselves to see because if you'll adopt their way, it's a little bit of that proof that they did something right.
I think you're totally right.
And they're looking for that, what's it called? Validation.
Validation.
If one other person can do it like me, then I picked the right path, and I don't have that in my life where my dad's telling me good job, or bros.
I think you're
that
totally right. And it comes back to the fatherhood. It comes back to us as fathers. Are our kids gonna feel this way? Are we so focused on what we're doing that our kids are going to feel exactly the way that we felt? And my dad didn't do anything wrong. The more I look at my dad,
he didn't have the tools. They didn't have the tools that we have today.
So my dad fell, last year, and he's been in memory care, and he just came out to assisted living, and we've had more real conversations, even though he's not fully with it right now, but he got to tell me about his childhood. Now, you want to learn? Find out what your dad's childhood was like. Find out what his parents were like. My grandfather never really spoke. My grandmother, right off the boat from Italy, was the dominant, domineering one, literally pushed him and his brother apart on purpose. There was, when my dad had a kid and then had me and my brother and me, I, at 4 years old or 6 years old, thought he knew everything. So if he doesn't approve of me, that means it's me, right? When I look back on it, he didn't know anything. And the people that raised him very distant from emotion.
Totally.
So I blamed him for all those years for not giving me what I wanted. And I was mad. And we fought. And the older I got, the more I'm like, he was just a guy trying to figure it out, as opposed to my dad who knows everything.
He was that's a hard realization when you're like, my dad's just a dude. And you realize that when you get kids, because like you're clueless and you have no idea what
I'm just a dude. Yeah.
I'm just a dude. Wait, my dad was just a dude. I asked my dad one time, I was about to have my second child. It was a girl. And there's not many girls in our family, right? Because I got 4 brothers and just all dudes all the time. And I was like, Dad, man, he goes, how you feeling? She's gonna have that baby next week. And I said, well, I'm a little nervous, man. Like, it's a girl. Like, I know I'm gonna love her, and but I'm just like scared. I'm like, Dad, you got any advice? This is a walk-off home run. He goes, I had 5 boys. You're on your own on this one. And he just got in his car and drove away. he just left. And I was like, all right, we're figuring that. Luckily, my father-in-law had 2 girls. So I've had someone that I could go and talk to. All right, let me ask you one more question here.
Yep.
You know, I ask everybody this question at the end, just for perspective, not right or wrong. But like, you know, you've built a life of freedom. You've built community. Honestly, you know, I think about this all the time with some of the guys I know. Like, we do things and live lives that most people can't even imagine because we're out here building and doing and helping and serving. But like, when you strip like all the success bullshit out of the way, for Vincent, what does greatness look like for you? Like, what is the great life that you want to build?
All my family. My wife, my kids, what comes from there, our relationships. And I think I prove it by when I shut things down, that I can live without this stuff. I did it mainly to build the life that we wanted together, not because I wanted to become the next great entrepreneur. I became an entrepreneur because employment, the way that I knew it, wouldn't give me that life. That's why I don't get stuck in the comparison of all the big names, because I don't want that life. It's not what I went into. Some people like, I want to build massive businesses and I want employees and legacy. I don't care about any of it.
Be careful what you wish for. For sure.
Yeah. But even in terms of ego, of like, I own this, I'm this. My whole thing was going back to my dad. My dad lost had a business partner rip him off when I was 14 years old that took all their money. They were in business together. That's why I'd never been in partnerships, right? It all comes from history. The next day, he was on the couch. I'd never seen my dad cry before until this. Lost everything. Almost got divorced. Almost lost our house. We almost lost everything. My childhood ended that day at 14. We didn't go to baseball games anymore. We didn't play catch in the yard. I lost it all. And we didn't get back to a relationship till my 30s. You can see what my incentive is way beyond business, way beyond making money, was, can I use this avenue to have all that time with my family? And we've got to homeschool our kids for 11 years. They're now 20, 18, and 14. And we have great relationships with all of them. I have a great marriage of almost 24 years. That's what it is. And then hopefully someday they're going to have kids and they're going to get married, and we can, you know, I hate to say it, but in some ways we were chopping down a family tree that we wanted to replant, both of us. And I feel like we're doing that. And that's my purpose.
Cycle breakers, baby. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's got to do it. Might as well be you. Bro, I love you, dude. This is an amazing conversation, man. Hey, whatever it is, unconference or wherever it is, like, how can people that are listening that enjoyed our conversation either connect with you online or check out what you're doing?
Yeah, connect with me. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Conference.live, I believe, is the link. TotalLifeFreedom.com is the main one. I can send you the link if you want to share with anybody. It's just a fun. It's the event that I couldn't find, so I had to make it.
That's what we do, bro. All right, brother. Thanks for being on the podcast
Appreciate
today,
you,
man.
You got it, man.
All right, guys, that wraps up my conversation with my good friend Vincent Pugliese. Man, I love that dude. He is a real, authentic, straight shooter, and that's what you got to be in the real world. And we are living in a time of so much change where everything is digital, everything is AI, and you're looking at a screen and you can't even tell anymore if somebody's real. You're listening to a podcast. This one's real, I promise. But like you're listening, and a lot of podcasters out there are trying to like just clone themselves so they can go, screw around. That's not mission driven. That's not vision oriented. That's not aiming up. And I think there's going to be a backlash to that where you're going to see more of these things like Vincent's Unconference. You're going to see more things like more guys trips like we have here at Great Men where we can get together in person. I think that's going to be what solves the problem of AI and social media is great men getting together, great men having real conversations really in their voice, great men gathering around a fire, smoking a cigar, celebrating wins, talking about their challenges, not solving problems for each other, but just witnessing us all go through this life. That's what we've lost from the pandemic. That's what we've lost from Facebook and social media and all this nonsense that we've gotten ourselves into over the past 20 years. And I really feel like it's about to flip. Like there's a lot of guys out there that are struggling. There's a lot of guys out there that are sick of the status quo. And there's going to be so many new opportunities coming up. The live event, I'm very plugged into the live event industry. And there's so many opportunities to do it. You just got to make sure you're going to the things that have your best interests at heart, like Vincent's Unconference, or like we do here at Great Men. We've got an amazing, real, zero AI online community over at greatmen.org. It's called the Great Men Project. We have lots of tools, frameworks, resources that you can use for personal development, personal growth. We have the Great Men Brotherhood. That is our free community. I talked a little bit about it. It's based on two concepts. Good men should not be denied community for any reason. So we have a free tier that gets you in the forums, gets you in our live calls, gets you to be able to do whatever you want. But we also based it on generosity. We know there's guys out there that can be like, yeah, I can invite a few friends. I'll pay their way. Hey, I'll go ahead and be generous and just sponsor somebody for the community on a scholarship. So we can go out and grab more great men and let them hang out together. Because the bigger our community is, the more chances we have to not be alone, the better chances that we all have, not just to be good men, but to be great men on our terms. We'd love to have you in the community. You can check that out. That's where all the information is about the guys' trips that we're taking. We're about to go to Golden, Colorado with about 15 guys, and we're going to have Great Men guys trip 1. I'm going to number them like Super Bowls. That way you know which one it is. And we're going to move those around the country, so we'll be bouncing through the time zones, going to some pretty cool places, a lot of nature, a lot of outside, and hopefully no cell phones so we can all just hang out together inside the Great Men community. You're going to be able to talk every day. We ask 2 questions of our members every day. How are you, bro? No, you. How are you feeling? Like, are you okay? Like, what are you feeling? Are you mad? Are you excited? Are you down? Like, is that fire that burns inside you little more than embers and smoke? We're in there talking about that stuff, man, because we care about you and we care about how you feel and we care about what you're going through and we care about where you're going, right? We also have weekly calls where we hang out together, and I call them G-Melts. Great men eat lunch together. We throw on the call at lunch and we hang out and we talk about those 2 questions and we talk about the latest podcast and all the different things that we did. And it is never AI ever in there. When you see a person post, that is a real human being. When you see a person reply to your posts, that is another man that is out there doing everything he can to build a great life for him and for his family. So head over to greatmen.org and check that out. We'd love to have you in the community right now. You can also follow me over on Instagram at Shane Sams Creates. I used to have at Shane Sams, but I forgot to log in. I forgot the password. So I'm just trying to get that back. But right now I'm creating over at Instagram at Shane Sams Creates. I post stories every single day and I talk about the stuff that most guys won't talk about. And you can also head over to Substack. I also create articles on Substack. This one's easy. Go to shanesams.substack.com. I write a weekly article about all the challenges that men face in the modern world. We talk about physical health. We talk about mental health. And that's where I like to write. I'm a writer. I like to write. I'm a talker. I like to podcast. I'm a speaker. I like to speak. And that's where you can find me anywhere online. That is all the time we have for this week. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Great Men with Shane Sams. I'll see you next time.